Hello there. Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome, everybody. Oh, I see me. Yay, it's always fun when it's working. Ooh, I don't like that glare. There we go. Other than that, everything looks good. Well, here we are, embossing powder. I'm just gonna ramble for a few seconds and then we are gonna dive right in. First of all, I have probably been demoing / teaching embossing powder for, I wanna say 20 years now? I don't know, maybe Margaret, who I see is watching, can chime in on how long we have been doing embossing powder. So I wanna say 20 years. I went through my YouTube channel and the first video I did on embossing powder on our YouTube channel was 10 years ago, and that's funny. So I am going to definitely do one of the techniques on that video and I'll share it here on this fabulous page. Thank you guys all so much for joining me. Thank you for accepting my request to join this page. Like I said last week during the live, I literally had no intentions of doing lives. This was strictly going to be to promote my classes and to just share product information with you guys. But like I said last week, you guys are very, very pushy. I'm just kidding. It was very flattering actually that I received so many texts, and not texts, but you know, personal messages about doing a live. So here we are. All right. So like I've posted, I'm not going to go through all of the little things. I'm going to use them and then talk about them so we don't spend so much time talking about all the stuff that you need. I posted a photo of like the basics, the embossing powder, obviously the embossing powder, the heat tool, the Versamark, the VersaPen, the Versa Refill. So these are a lot of things that literally I have had for years. So if you have one, if you have a Versamark pad and you've had it for 10 years, it's probably still very usable. So my pen, I kid you not, I probably haven't touched this for 5 years, and I just went and dug it out of a pen drawer and it is still super juicy and worked perfectly when I was playing with it today. Like I said, I have gone down the rabbit hole and been playing with a whole bunch of different embossing powder techniques. This crackle one is very fun, very easy. This is a layering technique, very fun, very easy. But let's start with the basics, shall we, everybody? As you can see, I like picking color palettes and sticking with them. I think it just makes things pretty and fun. And I'm actually gonna start off here with teaching you guys some simple embossing techniques that don't involve stamping. So I always find that this is a really good place to start, especially for those human beings that are very critical in their stamping abilities. And a really great way to do this, and I used to demo this nonstop, this technique with chipboard, but you can obviously take all of your fabulous dies and do this technique as well. So I'm going to show you 2 versions of this technique. This first version that I'm going to do, if I can pick this up, there we go. It's basically called turning any paper into glitter paper. And Icicle is a staple for this technique. So I probably haven't purchased actual glitter paper in a long time. It's probably been a year. But I remember the last time I purchased some, and it's not cheap. We all know it's not cheap. And I ran it through my die cut machine and chunks of it like broke off. So I then of course went back to a system that I know that works, is creating my own glitter paper. So I'm gonna take my cute little hugs, and the products that I'm using tonight are Pink and Main. Just like I posted, head on over to pinkandmain.com. You guys can have fun, do your shopping, and using the code DEMODonna, all one word, DEMODONNA. I forgot to say all one word last week. And you will get 10% off, and it also gives them a little wink wink on who sent you. So thank you guys so much for ordering last week. I am so excited to hear you guys like opening your packages. I already got someone sent me a pic of their package. I better now go back to what I'm doing. So, two little things I use for my base. I usually cut out some scrap paper because I don't Versamark over my coffee filter, or if I do, I usually have a separate coffee filter, but if you do Versamark over your filter, it actually starts to seep through it. So I just take some scrap pieces of paper or some cardstock like I have here, and this is going to constantly be my Versamark mat. So just a little FYI. Okay, so I've Versamarked up my ink, my little Hugs die. The ink that I'm using, and the reason I use Versamark, and I know there's different stuff out there, is because it's clear. Now there's a ton of different embossing inks. VersaFine is also really great, but this is black. So in order to do the technique I'm showing you now, you cannot do it with VersaFine black ink, or this is all gonna be black. Excuse me. I just realized I didn't bring any of my cough drops in, so we'll see how long I could talk. Okay, so to me, having a clear ink pad is a must. Now I also love all my VersaFine Clair. These are also pigment inks. You can emboss on these. There's a ton of different colors. I'm pretty sure I might have all of them at this point. I love them. I'm happy to share links with you. And these are all embossable too. I've used these just to stamp shades and not emboss them because the color is so bright and so vibrant. Okay, back to our demo, shall we? I think I could teach embossing for like an 8-hour class, honestly. That's what happens when you've been doing this for so long. Okay, Versamarked up my bad boy, and I did that on my scrap piece of paper. Now, some great tools to have, and I basically posted the list of the Pink and Made items that I'm going to be using tonight, as well as the non-Pink and Made stuff like the Versamark and the heat tool. So check those out. If there's anything you see me use and I didn't comment about it, let me know, reach out to me, and I will happily share with you a link. Okay, reverse tweezers are always nice if you like your fingertips. I've been embossing for so long, I tend to forget to use them unless I'm doing like something really teeny tiny, like these hearts. Pink and Made has a really cute pair. Mine have been used for a million things. They're not too bad. They're still in good shape, but the Pink and Made ones are adorable. Okay, Icicle. This is a great way to turn your beautiful paper, all of your paper. So I used to do this with, when I would demo this, I would take a color photo. Like I printed out a lot of wedding photos back then. You know, what else are you gonna do with your wedding photos? Just print it out onto cardstock in color, and I would do this technique, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. My heat gun is normally on my right side. I continue to look for it, and it's on my left side. So hence, some of the rambling is me looking for my heat gun. Okay, my embossing powder is still out. I know this scares a lot of you, but I am aiming my heat tool away. And I usually start at the bottom, like this bottom of this S closest to me, and then I work the heat up. I know back in the 1800s when I first started demoing heat embossing, we would all do this and wave our tool back and forth, and you don't need to do that anymore. If you still do that, try this. Try just holding it on there. If your paper starts smoking or changes color, it's a little bit of a red flag. You have started to cook it. This is not an easy bake oven class. It is just heat embossing, so you don't need to cook it till it's burning. But you know, we've all done it. There's my little spot where my tweezer was. All right, so here it's very subtle, and I stole one of my lights to use on my little camera, my little photo studio. But here's the before and after. There, I'm hitting that light over there. So you can see my Hugs now has a nice little shimmer to it. It's glossy versus my starting red cardstock. Super simple. And this is also a really great way, because I know you guys are out there, this is a great way for you glitter phobes to use something with sparkle in it because you're cooking all that glitter down onto your paper. So there is no loose glitter now on my piece of paper. Nothing is coming off on my fingers. So that is a really simple technique and looks really cute to add that little bit of sparkle to any of your die cuts. So again, I'm starting off, these are my baby steps. Okay, I also wanted to show you guys that same technique. So this is a beautiful piece of cardstock from my stash, and I actually did find it on Amazon. So if anyone is interested, I could share the link with you with that. I'm going to use the same embossing powder. So I'm just going to ink it up down here on this corner really quick. So I'm just going to ink up half of it so you could see what happens to like a beautiful color photo when you do this technique to it. All right, so I've got half of this with Versamark, and again, I'm gonna use my Icicle. So this is a nice transparent embossing powder, and you'll hear me use a couple code words. In terms of transparent, the only two transparent embossing powders by Pink & Main are the Icicle and the Clear. So that means that you can see completely through them. The majority of their embossing powders are opaque. So they completely cover up whatever you're embossing on. Okay, so here we are again. This time I'm gonna use my finger tool because half of it I'm not heat embossing. Excuse me. And I am just pushing the heat away from my loose powder underneath. Again, I know that freaks some of you out. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this demo without injuring any loose embossing powder, without it flying across the room. Okay, and that is really simple and really fun. And look at the difference. So you can see that half and half. I've now got this beautiful, and by the way, you pick up this plain piece of beautiful cardstock and it's $1, but you pick up this glittery, beautiful cardstock and it's $2. So just that simple technique, and you're now getting this beautiful, luxurious looking cardstock. Again, something very fun to do on photos that you just print out on your color printer. Really fun to do it on invitations. I used to take old cards from the dollar store, and I would demo this a lot during the holidays. I would take holiday cards from the dollar store and just go over the whole thing and heat emboss, add a little bit of the easy tear tape, throw some glitter on it, and boom, you're done. So really simple. And the tool you need for that, obviously your heat gun, your clear Versamark, and this is a really nice way to start. If you don't want to dive right in and buy 900 embossing powders, you can buy your Icicle. I'm going to show you one more thing with Icicle, which is weird that I just put it away. But, you know, sometimes I like extra cleaning. Ha! Said no woman crafter ever. Okay, I am going to take my little heart shape. I just cut a bunch of these out. And I'm going to show you guys using your colored ink. So I posted a photo of the VersaFine Clair, and this is Glamorous is the color, and really pretty. And again, this is a pigment ink, but I use it as a dye ink all the time too. So I will just ink up my stamp stains, and then I just stamp them on my cardstock, and I usually let them just air dry. That's too small. Silly me. Let's get a bigger heart, shall we? This is why I cut a bunch of stuff out. I usually don't stamp on my coffee filter, but I'm just doing it because I have 900 things to show you, and I really want to keep this down to a half an hour because who has an attention span for an hour live? I don't. I can't believe I went that long last time. I'm so sorry. But we made a beautiful card. Okay. There we go. You make my heart smile. And now I'm going to take the lid to my ink pad and put that back on like a good girl. And now I'm going to grab my Icicle again, and just sprinkle that right over top there. Tap that off. Now the reason right now I am not really using any protection before stamping, meaning I talked about the Magic Anti-Static Brush. You also have the little embossing buddies and static free bags. So the reason I really don't use those when I'm using clear, because if a little bit goes in the wrong place, you can't see it anyways. Heat set that. Voila. And now you've got a very subtle, but you can see, there we go. You could see the shimmer and like the nice seal and shine. Little sparklies in there. You make my heart smile. I mean, and I figure you do need like a little glitter when you're talking about your heart smiling. I mean, come on. One would think. Okay, I'm now taking my coffee filter. Again, something I have been demoing for probably 20 years is the coffee filter. And we're gonna put our icicle away. There, we just already got through 3 demos. Isn't that crazy? Making your own glitter paper, and I showed you that on the die cut, and making your own glitter paper solid on your cardstock. I mean, go through your stash. See all of your pieces of cardstock where you were like, oh, I don't love that. You throw some glitter on it, brings a whole new life to it. Well, let me tell you. Okay, we got the You Make My Heart Smile. I'm gonna show you really quick, since I have my Versa pen. Now, this bad boy is used for a lot of things. When you are using solid stamps, like this beautiful birthday set that I'm gonna be using in an up and coming class that I'm still designing. And when you use a solid stamp, and this was way before the whole stamp placement positioner things, but you stamped it out, you heat embossed it, and there was a little piece that wasn't there. This would be great because you can just color that in, throw some more embossing powder on it, and call it a day. But you can also take your pen, you know, and you could do fun little zigzags. You can write with it. I know you guys have heard me mention a million times that I have terrible writing, so I will spare you that. I will do a little writing for you later because I have another cool trick. Well, I guess my Versa pen is kind of dry. But like I said, that was 10 years old. But that's why we have your Versa Refill. And it also has a fine tip. Oh my gosh, it's totally dry. I could totally see it. You know, when you first write it, it's nice and chunky. This is a great way to show you what not to do. Now that I'm using a dark color on a light surface and I've been touching embossing powder, you can see it's starting to stick to my fingerprints. So another great tool to have when you were too lazy to use your little static free bag is a little dry, clean brush just to wipe away any embossing powder that's splattered and is not where it's supposed to be. So now I'm going to heat set that. This is why I never write in public. I mean, even my heart looks sad. It's okay. But look at that. And I know some of you probably have amazing writing. Okay, while we're on this paper, I'm going to show you one other cool writing technique. It's simple and you already have the tool at home. Even those of you that have never embossed, I'm going to use my little static bag. These are from 2 companies ago from Sparkle and Sprinkle. Like I said, the Magic Anti-Static Brush, I don't have it, but I've heard great reviews about it. So check that out at Pink and Main. The other great thing you can use with that is when you're doing your shakers or anything with that double stick foam and it's still got sticky on it, you could take that brush and that puts the powder on it so it's no longer sticky. Okay, I'm gonna do a little anti-static bag. I'm gonna take this really fancy tool called the ballpoint pen and I am gonna write demo Donna. For all of you that have signed up and taken some of my classes and you receive your envelope with that writing on it and you're like, oh, Did she have her children write this? Yeah, no, that's me. Special. Okay, so take that ballpoint pen and just simply write away. It doesn't stay as wet as your Versamark, but look at how cool that is. Did you guys know that? Raise your hand. Did you know you can heat emboss with your ballpoint pen? Okay, look at that. We've already busted out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 techniques. Are you guys ready for more? Let's do some stamping. Let's have some fun playing with some stamps. I think I'm gonna put this guy away and we are going to go for, so this color here is Fire Engine Red, a nice solid red embossing powder with solid red glitter. Really fun combination. I know back in the trade show days, reds and blues were very popular items. So Fire Engine Red is the glittery one, and then Candy Cane is the non-glittery one. So we are gonna do a stamp and some embossing with our Candy Cane. So I am gonna take my little static-free bag here. I'm gonna use my fingernail tool. So another key is to try not to touch your paper as much. So you have oils on your hands, and the more you touch your, and plus like I get ink everywhere. I stick my finger in my Versamark, you know how it is. So I use my little fingernail tool as a buffer and just really try not to touch anything. You know, easier said than done. But that's what your little magic anti-static brush is for. Okay, now I went ahead and die cut this first just because it's way cuter. But personally, if I was gonna be stamping and embossing a bunch of these, I would absolutely stamp them out and emboss them on my paper first, and then I would die cut them. So that's the order I would go in, just if for some reason I didn't like the way my embossing turned out, I didn't already waste my time die cutting it. So with that said, I'm now doing the opposite of what I tell you I normally do, because that's how I roll, and that's upside down. So now if I do it that way, it'll be right side up. Yay. Okay, so again, I'm gonna go ahead and ink this up with my Versamark. And I'm not pushing this in there. I am giving a light pat. Clear stamps usually need to be stamped out 3 or 4 times when you first get them out of the package because they have a residue on them. So I'm sure some of you have noticed especially if it's like a larger solid design, if you stamp it out the first time on your project, it kind of beads up a little bit. But if you ink it up and stamp it like 3 or 4 times, it gets that residue off. You can also take a stamp cleaner and you could scrub your clear stamps before you use them. To me, I'd rather just stamp them a few times because, you know, we know how it is. So I am just hovering over this. I'm sure it's not going to be perfect. And I'm just giving it a good firm press down. Obviously, you could do this with your little stamp positioner thing. I'm really good at names. I have one, but it's just so big. It's like, I wouldn't be able to demo using it and have you this close up. Okay, so now I have my beautiful Hello My Love, and I am gonna take that Candy Apple embossing powder. And what I like to do when I'm pouring my embossing powder on is I like to start at one end and just have it fall down. So it goes ahead and like hits all that ink up. And then I'm just tapping that off. And then I'm flipping this over and doing that little spot where my fingers were at. So look at that. Here is the before. That's weird, my camera doesn't let me go too close to you guys. Here's the before, and it's kind of grainy. It's just like you see it when it comes out of the container. It's grainy, it looks like sand. Fun fact, I used to actually take the double stick tape and we had like a sand color embossing powder, and I would put that on the tape and just leave it there and not heat set it for like a beach scene. Very cool. Absolutely looked like sand. Okay, now that I'm just chatting away, I'm going to take my heat tool again. Another thing too, if you have a couple little specks, which I see, you can blow it off a little bit. Just try not to spit on it. You know, you don't want your DNA all over it. Okay, so again, I'm going to start halfway point. I'm aiming away from my fingers, away from my face, you know, away from the pile of loose powder underneath me. And I've never really been so crazy if I get a little speck of embossing powder. It hasn't bothered me too much. I know there are people where that would make them go crazy. I'm not one of those people, so it doesn't make me insane, you know, but you guys know that. Okay, keep heating. So this would have been a good opportunity to use my tweezer tool, except for the fact that there was embossing powder around all of the edges, so I didn't really want to hurt it, so I'm holding it this way. And there you guys have it. That's pretty much as basic as it gets in terms of inking and embossing, which I love. So, I mean, there was no magic. I know you guys all tell me how much you struggle and how hard it is. I didn't fast forward. I didn't use any magic Lucky Charms leprechaun dust on it. I have no fairy wand. Well, I just have this. Whoop. But literally was ink, stamp, and heat set. And as long as you use those basic little tricks of try not to touch your paper, make sure you use your static free, again, the Magic Anti-Static Brush. I don't have it yet, but it's on my list, guys. So hopefully next time I show you embossing powder, I will have it to show you. Okay, we're gonna do some more things. So hold tight. We are gonna do another one here, and I am going to show you, thinking is sometimes involved. Rarely, but sometimes. So fun. Oh, and look, I want to show you the difference too. Here it is with the candy apple, which is this one here without the glitter. To me, that just has a really classic look. Like, it's solid, it's classic, but you know, wink, 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 Karen. We know there's some glitter mania out there. This is the Fire Engine Red, so you could see the difference with and without the glitter. And using an embossing powder with glitter in it seals that glitter in there. So I used to always tell people that this is a really great way to add glitter to your project if you're nervous about using loose glitter. All right, you guys, I'm going to show you another fun one. It's not really that groundbreaking, but surprisingly, a lot of people don't know about it. And then you see it and you're like, oh, well, yeah, obviously you could have done that. I knew that. I have one more. Oh, here we go. Okay, these are some sprinkles that I took from the sprinkle stamp here on that birthday kit that I'm going to be using in a few weeks. And I wanted to show you guys how easy it is to create your own backgrounds. I'm again going to take my Versamark scrap paper here, which of course has, and I've thrown it on the ground now. Don't throw it on the ground. I mean, unless you want to. Okay, I'm going to take my little heart. I'm going to take my little sprinkles, and you can make your own background paper out of any of your stamps. So fun. I used to do this with butterflies, with hearts, with flowers, puppy dogs, everything. Feathers. Oh, I had an amazing feather stamp that I just loved. I might dig that up and do some demoing with you. So I am going to take my sprinkles and I'm going to start on one corner, and you want to just make sure you have some good lighting. I mean, these, it's not really going to matter if they overlap, but since Versamark stays wet longer, you have enough time to do background paper. I usually work in quarters, so I wouldn't say that I've ever done like a full scrapbook page of background paper. I've probably done a quarter of a page, maybe 6 by 6 is the biggest. But how quick and simple was that? Now I'm going to show you the fun thing that I wanted to show you, which is not really rocket science, but I'm going to grab, I'll use some bubble gum. I didn't list this as a color that I was using, but I'm going to use bubble gum, and this color here is Aquatini, which makes me very excited. I mean, I want one. An Aquatini sounds delicious. Okay, I am going to use one of my little spoons here. Also very old. But if you don't have a little spoon, go get some gelato or some ice cream, and voila. Okay, so the trick here is when you're using multiple colors is to do a flip. So if you pour it just straight down, then that loose embossing powder is just going to pour down and cover everything else up. So if you flip it, then it's just going to stay on the pieces you want it to stay on. So there is my first color, Aquatini, which is that solid teal color, which is so pretty. And again, I don't know why I didn't static free this first. That would have been really smart. I can already see things are sticking to it, but that's what happens when you've been out of the embossing game for a while. You're rusty. I'm rusty. I got to get back into my routines, being a diligent, static-free bag user. Okay, there's some pink. That'll be enough. I am going to flip it again. 1, 2, 3, flip. So now we've got some blue and some pink, some teal, some Aquatini, and some bubblegum together. Now what happens here sometimes is you get some contamination. So I usually dump this, and it's such a little amount of embossing powder, it's gonna be okay. So I'm just gonna dump that in the trash. It went in the trash, I promise. I know during trade shows I would throw all of this stuff on the floor, but we're not at a trade show. We are in my home, and that would probably horrify the other human beings that I share this place with. Okay, ooh, I know what I'm gonna do. I am gonna use white. So my last color, and because I've already got darker colors on here, I am just gonna use a little bit because I'm most likely gonna dump it, but I am gonna now take a little scoop of white, and I am just going to cover everything up now. Give that a good sprinkle. And the white is called frosting. I posted a photo of the Pink and Main products that I'm using tonight, all the embossing powders, the dies, the stamps, and I did put frosting is white and licorice is black. So I am just making sure that all my remaining embossing powder is covered. I'm gonna give that a good flick, and I'm gonna blow on this a little bit. Because like a bad girl, I did not use my little static bag. And of course, I have fingerprints on here, but nothing too bad, like I said. And they're sprinkles, so, it's just bigger and little sprinkles. Okay, here we are, the before. And now I'm gonna heat set this. You can see why you need the magic anti-static brush, because it makes all those little specks not happen. See, shame on me. I was raving about being a professional and doing this for 20 years, and then look at that. I know. You guys can thumbs down me, it's fine. All right, I am just kidding. Okay, so now I've got this adorable sprinkle background with, extra sprinkles, some teeny ones. And look at how fun that is. I know hearts and sprinkles, I mean, obviously they go hand in hand. They kind of even look like little pills. Who knows? The love doctor. All right, so this technique here was kind of a 2-in-1 combination, creating your own background and using multiple embossing powder colors all at once. And the trick to doing that is you stamp everything out, you do your different colors, and then you heat set all at once. Okay, I'm doing a time check. Oh my gosh, it's 34 already. We had so much fun. I have a lot more techniques, you guys. Of course, you know this. Next week, we are going to be doing the very fun water gems. These are really great. They are a watercolor powder. And I'm also going to be using the Easy Flow water brushes. These are both available on Pink and Main. If you want to join me next week and follow along, these two items are what you're going to need, as well as some black embossing powder. You can go ahead and heat set some of your really fun stamps that we're going to play with. I'm going to probably be using black embossing powder and white embossing powder for that demonstration, as well as showing you some fun backgrounds. I also do have my class next week, so that I'm going to be teaching next week, and I already have all my students for that. So thank you guys, everyone, for signing up for the step card. That's going to be a lot of fun. And my class kits are always available after my classes as well. So that guy is already behind us, but I am still taking students. I think I have 6 spots left for my easel Purple Hugs card. And we are going to be doing embossing in this class as well. You get a tiny little sample, just enough for the 2 cards of Hydrangea is the embossing powder. And that class is, I wrote down the date, January 23rd, 5 p.m. It's a live Zoom class with me. You get everything you need in your class kit, enough to make 2 cards, and I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I also am putting together a box pop-up birthday card, and I believe that's going to be January 30th, and that's going to be my birthday party class. So I will be posting that soon. Again, head on over to pinkandmain.com, use code DEMODonna, and you receive 10% off of everything, all these products, not just the ones that I showed you tonight, but everything except the subscriptions, because those are already marked down significantly. I know a couple people have messaged me that they've ordered them, so it's so exciting. Thank you guys so much. Share this with friends. Help me get the word out that I am creating these fun lives for you guys, and I'm always up for suggestions on different craft materials that you would like to see demoed. Goodbye, everybody.